Well, hey, welcome back to the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad. Oh, what's with this little sight guy? I don't know who you are, but you need to die. Obviously coming from YouTube, so I'll have to visit over there. Amazing. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to eat on that as best I can. See if I can't eliminate some of these. Holy cow. Damn it, this is so depressing. There's just assholes everywhere. Oh, yeah. Wish there was, yeah. I'm going to run into that same problem when I go to vote on Tuesday, because if there's anybody wandering around with a rifle, I'm just going to open it up. Come on. If that's what you got. And the thing is, if any, imagine that it's like a 5-year-old with their favorite dinosaur toy. Right? Because most of the adults I know who have firearms of any sort, handheld, rifle, whatever, you don't know. It's the 5-year-old mentality that wants to show you their favorite toy. And that's what these are to them, is just little toys they can display. And you'll find that their vehicle usually is a, an extension of that same psychopathy. They want to have the biggest truck. I don't know. There seems to be a lot of parallels and a lot of commonalities across them that it lends itself to generalities, and that's where people are like, you're being racist or being prejudiced. Yeah, prejudiced in a way, prejudging. Now, this may be an unpopular opinion, but I feel that this is a safety mechanism designed for self-preservation. All right? I mean, part of the reason why fashion is so important to us hominids is that we can identify the kind of people that we feel safe around. Now, if I see a group of people with their pants down below their underwear, right, and they're swagging and swaying and sashaying like they the big man trying to intimidate everybody, guess what? You win. I want nothing to do with you. I will cross the street. I will walk the other way. I will go anywhere other than where that type of dress and behavior is. Is that being prejudiced or racist? I don't know. I don't care. I don't want to get shot or stabbed or robbed or mugged or whatever else that group of people tends to glorify both in their music and in their lifestyle. Likewise, if I see a group of men dressed in G-men suits or lawyer attire, I'm going to cross the street and go the other way. I want nothing to do with these people. And as I get older, I discover that there are less of the kind of people that I want to work with. The ones who display all of their ideologies on their t-shirt or on their hat, I want nothing to do with you. Period. So I don't know if I'm being prejudicial beyond that which is necessary to not risk my own existence. What's interesting is that I should say the police, over a period of time and lawsuits, were not allowed to do profiling. Well, I don't see why. Right? I mean, that was the whole thing about the gangsters, is that you don't show that you've done, you don't flash your stuff. And if you have no visible means of support and you're driving around in a Dodge Hellcat, flash and bling and spending money like water, then obviously the components of that particular scenario do not add up to anything untoward. And this is how I'm going into the election. Anyone who has said stupid stuff in my mindset, in the way that my understanding of how all of this has unfolded over the last 2 years, that's where I'm headed. Because I would like to see some adults here. Now, what's interesting is it's taken me 60 years to be an adult. And some would argue I still have a ways to go, and I would not disagree. You are not wrong. But to get to this point requires a little bit of temperament. Something that, as our lead news story from WAY is apparent, get it, apparent, the parents of this guy must be super freaking proud. Oh, man, it's enough to piss anybody off, and it's Friday. And, of course, Windows decides on Friday to completely abort all prepared plans and just kind of do its own thing and shut down and ignore it. It was aggravating, and I apologize for that, but I'm glad we are back because the rest of the programming on this station is very good and should be absorbed, consumed by all. So anybody watching, anybody listening should be, going to the Big Talker website, downloading the app, that sort of thing, and sharing it with a friend. But yes, having a difficult time with understanding a lot of the silliness that's going into not just the midterm elections, which were placed in the middle of the holidays, I believe, as a distraction, as well as fodder for divorce. Or at least, family drama. Because think about it, going into the midterms right now is going into Thanksgiving. So at Thanksgiving, how did you vote is going to be a question at a number of tables across the country. You voted for Bolsonaro. Oh, wait, wrong election. And I don't even want to get into that part of it, just knowing that, they should have done the elections in spring when everybody's like, coming out of their winter blahs, not going into the winter blahs. When we're getting out of pants and getting into shorts, out of shoes and into sandals. We're feeling a little bit better and a little bit more hopeful. Instead, we go in during the bleakest part when all the trees drop their leaves and the whole world looks like it's dead. And that's when we decide to vote. Oh, hey, this looks like a wonderful time to invest in our country. Huh? Oh, and it's right after daylight savings time, so added stress of not knowing, if it's day or night. Added bonus of some armed moron running around with his favorite dinosaur gun. Look at me, I got Kevlar. I got a gun. I got some bullets. I hope you got a bullet in there, buddy. Because I'm just gonna ask you straight up. Come on, man. What are you doing here? And is that thing loaded? If it's loaded, that means you intend to use it. Here I am. I'm probably not going to vote the way that you, Mr. Gun-toting moron, want me to. And if you are going to sentence me to death, you might as well be jury and executioner as well. I'm right here. And why they let it happen? Oh, this is a free speech. Yeah, that's free speech like fire in a theater. We know there's a point where you're just being stupid. There's a point where your performative BS is just something so you feel important. You have some sense of power and fear over someone else. That's the only reason. Because again, the real adults with handguns or any sort of firearm aren't going to carry it into the grocery store. They're not going to be walking up and down the street, minding their own business, as they say, in front of a polling booth or a election site. Not happening. If you're trying to intimidate people, that right there is a violation, right? Because think about it, pursuit of happiness, you're not allowed to interfere with my own pursuit of happiness. Therefore, get out of my way. Or shoot. Those are your two choices. And I will probably give him the same compliments I would give a 5-year-old showing me his favorite dinosaur toy. Oh, that's adorable. Does its arms move? Oh, look, it's got little red eyes. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, look, a little Picatinny rail. Oh, that's so sweet. You can hang your little Pandora charms on there. Oh, that's adorable. So why spend your day walking around like a moron, gun strapped, Kevlar loaded or whatever, tactical gear, and then walk around a polling election site? Why? What's the point? If you're being paid, why? Again, why? Why? Who, what, where, when, why, how? Who are the people doing this? Well, they're obviously not the most, how would you say, valuable citizens of the community. What is really stupid? I'm going to see if I can't pull up one of the articles. Let's see. Oh, ballot box. That's what they call it. Ballot box intimidation. Oh, well. As much money as you make and you're begging for more, my God, it's like a Trump campaign. Conversation.com. Let's see what these guys are saying about it. Why would you do this? Guns at voting sites have long sparked fears of intimidation and violence, yet few states banned their presence. Well, they're already unhinged if they're wanting to walk, if they have to walk around with a gun slung on them. A couple of Mesa, Arizona was dropping off their ballots on October 21, 2022 for the forthcoming midterm election when they saw two people carrying guns and dressed in tactical gear hanging around the Maricopa County drop box. The armed pair left when officers later arrived. It wasn't an isolated incident. A lawsuit filed October 24 by Arizona Alliance for Retired Americans and Voto Latino noted that on several occasions, armed and masked individuals associated with the group Clean Elections USA has gathered at drop boxes in the county with the express purpose of deterring voters. Voter intimidation is a crime in Arizona, and it is throughout the country, as it is throughout the country. In the case of Maricopa County, a judge ruled on November 1 that the actions of the individuals who present themselves as anti-voter fraud activists crossed the line and issued a restraining order. Under the order, people associated with clean elections are now barred from openly carrying firearms within 250 feet of a ballot box. Concealed firearms will be permitted, though, and the restrictions only affects individuals connected to Clean Elections USA. Just why? That's going to be my question. Why are you here? The presence of armed individuals at voting sites adds to concerns over the prospects of election-related intimidation and violence, which have deepened in recent years. As Rachel Kleinfeld, Senior Fellow of the Democracy, Conflict and Governance Program at the nonpartisan Carnegie Endowment, recently reported to the Congressional Committee looking into the January 6 attack on the Capitol, political violence is considered more acceptable by the public than it was 5 years ago. False charges of stolen elections, such as those repeatedly made by former president, are a major instigator of political unrest, Kleinfeld noted, although she added that extremists in both political parties have reported a greater willingness to resort to political violence. These concerns are far from hypothetical. Get it? Anyway, as of this fall, more than 1,000 threats to election officials, some explicitly mentioning gun violence, were under review by federal law enforcement agencies. Responding to the situation in Arizona, The Department of Justice on October 31 noted that the presence of armed individuals raises serious concerns of voter intimidation. Such concerns are fanned by the fact that only 7 states ban all gun carrying at polling places. 5 more states bar the carrying of concealed guns at polling places, but in swing states like Florida, Nevada, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, people are allowed to carry guns even while they are voting. The lack of a federal ban on firearms at voting sites has prompted Senator Chris Murphy to introduce in Congress the Vote Without Fear Act, proposed legislation that would prohibit the possession of a firearm within 100 yards of any federal election site. I mean, you can still, your aim is just a little more risky or a little more shaky at 100 yards than it is at, say, I don't know, 10 yards. Pitched battles and voter intimidation. To be sure, election-related violence is a part of America's past. For example, the anti-immigration Know-Nothing Party of the 1850s often employed armed violence using an array of weapons, and Democrat-Whig Party battles erupted in the 1830s. Throughout the middle of the 19th century, such cities as Philadelphia, Baltimore, and New Orleans at times witnessed pitched battles between warring political factions at election time. And lethal violence was used extensively after the Civil War to systematically terrorize and disenfranchise black voters in the South. Yet, many people in the United States also believed from the start that guns and violence were contrary to the values of a democratic nation, especially, though not limited to, during times of elections. As early as 1776, Delaware's state constitution stated, quote, "To prevent any violence or force being used at the said elections, no person shall come armed to any of them." It further stipulated that to protect voters, a gun-free zone would be put in place within a mile of polling places for 24 hours before and after Election Day. In its State Bill of Rights of 1787, New York decreed that all elections shall be free, and that no person by force of arms, nor by malice or menacing or otherwise presume to disturb or hinder any citizen of this state to make free election. In the author's own research on historical gun laws, he found roughly a dozen states that specifically barred guns during elections or at polling places in laws enacted between the 1770s and the start of the 20th century. But even more importantly, from the 1600s through the 1800s, the author found that there are at least 3/4 of all colonies and later states enacted laws criminalizing gun brandishing and displaying in any public setting. And that would certainly include voting stations at election time. Author goes on, early American lawmakers well understood that public gun carrying, by its very nature, was intimidating. And that extended not only to brandishing a gun, meaning displaying one in a threatening manner, but also to mere gun display, simply showing a gun in public setting. Modern studies confirm this understanding. Analysts in fields including psychology and criminology have concluded that the mere presence of guns increases aggression and violence. To cite a different analysis, a study of over 30,000 demonstrations in the U.S. from 20 to 21 found that when guns were present, protests were over 6 times more likely to turn violent or destructive. How about creating an island of calm? According to polls, wide majorities of Americans oppose public gun carrying. A 2017 study reported that from 2/3 to over 4/5 of respondents opposed public gun carrying in various settings, including at the polls. And as recently as 2018, the Supreme Court affirmed that Election Day polling places should be an island of calm in which voters can peacefully contemplate their choices. Both history and modern research support the conclusion that the presence of guns in public defeats this goal. Indeed, they can induce great fear and quarrels, or so said New Jersey in a law passed in 1686. This is coming from theconversation.com. I know I have an author here, Robert Spitzer. So if you have anything to say about it, that'd be Robert Spitzer's. Now, the Justice Department decided to weigh in on this, whether you approve or disapprove of whatever the DOJ does otherwise. Justice Department raises concerns about armed people at ballot boxes. Coming out of Washington, AP, Associated Press, reports that people watching ballot boxes in Arizona, sometimes armed or wearing ballistic vests, raised serious concerns about voter intimidation, the Justice Department said Monday as it stepped into a lawsuit over the monitoring. Because if you have nothing to do with the election or whatever, you don't need to be there. Go the hell home. If you're there passing out slate cards or, those candidate information cards, I get it. But if you're walking around with a big gun and you're carrying wearing a tactical vest, I'm going to intimidate you as much as you are intimidating everybody else until you shoot me. Because I have every bit of free speech as you do, and I will use it. And I will make sure that anybody behind me who goes in to vote is not affected by your intimidation. Or whoever carrying a gun. Jeez. The statement from the Justice Department comes days after a federal judge refused to bar a group from monitoring the outdoor drop boxes in the suburbs of Phoenix. Threats, intimidation, and coercion are illegal under the Federal Voting Rights Act, even if y'all didn't write this right. Write this correctly. Under the Federal Voting Rights Act, even if they don't succeed. The government's attorneys wrote, okay, let me try that again with the corrected English. Threats, intimidation, and coercion are illegal under the Federal Voting Rights Act, even if they don't succeed, the government's attorneys wrote. While lawful poll watching can support transparency, quote, ballot security forces, unquote, present a significant risk of voter intimidation, the court documents state. While the First Amendment protects... While the, quote, while the First Amendment protects expressive conduct and peaceable assembly generally, it affords no protection for threats of harm directed at voters, U.S. government attorneys wrote. The filing runs counter to a judge's order Friday. U.S. District Court Judge Michael Liberty found the allegations present serious questions, but it wasn't clear they were a true threat to specific people or groups, and barring them could violate the watchers' freedom of speech. I don't want to bar their freedom of speech. I just don't want them to try and intimidate people with their presence of guns. Liberty is a Trump appointee and a member of the Federalist Society, a conservative legal organization. The Arizona Alliance for Retired Americans is appealing the order in the swing state with several closely contested races this year. The group sued a group. What group? Group. The group sued a group calling itself Clean Elections USA after reports that people were watching 24-hour ballot boxes in Maricopa County, including some who were masked and armed. A separate suit was filed in rural Yavapai County, where the League of Women Voters alleges voters had been intimidated by three groups, including one associated with the far-right anti-government group Oath Keepers. The two cases were merged, and the Justice Department filed a statement of interest Monday. Attorneys for Clean Elections USA did not immediately respond to a message seeking comment. Complaints that people were watching the boxes, taking photos and videos, and following voters alarmed local and federal law enforcement. Sheriff deputies began providing security around two outdoor drop boxes in Maricopa County after a pair of people carrying guns and wearing bulletproof vests showed up at a box in the Phoenix suburb of Mesa. I've been there. Another 24-hour outdoor drop box in downtown Phoenix is now surrounded by a chain-link fence. I guess it's not 24 hours anymore. I don't know. The law doesn't specifically list which activities are prohibited near polling places, but video recording and photographing voters has been recognized as a concern for decades and was named in a 1994 Justice Department letter on potential violations of the Voting Rights Act, federal attorneys wrote. As of last week, Arizona's Secretary of State said her office has referred 6 cases of potential voter intimidation to the state attorney general and the U.S. Department of Justice. as well as a threatening email sent to state elections director. Arizona law states electioneers and monitors must remain 75 feet from a voting location. Groups around the United States have embraced a film that has been discredited called 2,000 Mules that claimed people were paid to travel among drop boxes and stuff them with fraudulent ballots during the 2020 presidential vote. There's no evidence for the notion that a network of Democrat-associated ballot mules has conspired to collect and deliver ballots to drop boxes either in the 2020 presidential vote or in the upcoming midterm elections. In fact, I would even say that if you are there to monitor the ballot box, you can do it without a gun. In fact, I would even posit that it's more effective to have a good pair of glasses or maybe some binoculars, not a, scope. Because if you have to look through the scope to make sure that somebody is not stuffing the box, then you have more than brandish. You have raised that weapon, and you should be ready to fire. You should be prepared to fire. You should, you pulled it. That's the first, responsible gun ownership. Or the first rule of it, anyway. All right, so it's Friday. We're going to put more of the day back together here in just a moment. So don't go nowhere. The Asylum, your refuge, and World Gone Mad. We'll be right back after these messages.
Hello, I'm Matt Bennett with WWAY News. A Wilmington man has pleaded guilty to human trafficking for his involvement with a website promoting prostitution. 21-year-old Dwayne Jackson was sentenced to at least 4.5 years in prison. Jackson met an 18-year-old intellectually disabled victim online and acted as her boyfriend. He convinced her to have sex with his friends and later posted explicit photographs of her on a website called skipthegames.com to solicit sex for money. 2 friends of Jackson's, Demond Conyers and Mackenzie Thigpen, are also charged. Their cases are still pending. A heavy law enforcement presence was seen at the New Hanover County landfill off U.S. Highway 421 yesterday. Our crew on the scene saw the Wilmington Police Mobile Command Post and a couple of patrol cars, a New Hanover County Sheriff's Office crime scene investigation truck, as well as an NIBIN unit, which stands for National Integrated Ballistics Information Network. This is a developing story, and we are working to get more information. The U.S. Department of Agriculture is investing $15 million in meat and poultry production in North Carolina. The lending program provides grant funding to intermediary lenders who are or will be financing startup, expansion, or operation of processing plants for meat and poultry. The goal is to strengthen the financing capacity for independent meat processors and create a more diverse and secure U.S. food supply chain. And it is time once again for the annual Southport Police Department Shop with a Cop campaign. The event helps kids receive gifts for the holiday season by going on a shopping spree with a police officer. Applications are due by December 9th. They can be found on our website, or you can pick one up at the police department. Those accepted will get a $100 gift card to shop with an officer on December 17th at the Walmart in Southport. That program is entirely supported by donations. For more on any of these stories, you can go to WWAYTV3.com. I'm Matt Bennett. Have a great day.
Happy Friday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your Storm Track 3 forecast. We have a beautiful Friday on tap with a small chance for a few isolated showers throughout the day today, but I think as we head into the evening hours, we'll start to dry out here in the Cape Fear. High temperatures today climb into the upper 70s and the low 80s this afternoon, several degrees above the average with a good deal of sunshine. As for tonight, our conditions are going to stay pretty mild under partly cloudy skies, dropping down into the low to middle 60s overnight tonight. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by Two Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to twomenandatruck.com. twomenandatruck.com.
If you're enjoying the content you find on Big Talker, any of your shows, all the hosts, you really need to make sure you're following and liking us on Facebook. There's a video section. You can watch all the live video of programs as they happen. You can also see video of past content that you may have missed for whatever reason. Plus, even better, you can share it with a friend. Let other people know how much you enjoy the Big Talker and the great content we provide, and interact with other listeners and the hosts in the comment section live as it happens. Big Talker Net on Facebook.
Are you nervous about joining a gym? Anxious about not being able to keep up with others in the fitness classes? Full Circle Fitness has your solution. We specialize in working with those just getting started on their fitness journey. Our coaches tailor each workout to you and your level of ability, so you don't have to worry about keeping up. There's no better opportunity to get started. Call today, Full Circle Fitness, 910-399-8350, or visit FullCircleFitnessNC.com.
Steve Gainey is a Brunswick County native with a VA from Wake Forest. Steve is a candidate for Brunswick County School Board. He is in favor of greater local control, parental rights, and equal opportunities. He will help students that wish to pursue tech and trade careers. Steve believes in upholding American exceptionalism in U.S. civics and history. Vote Steve Gainey for Board of Education, District 5, Brunswick County.
Folks, you know you're all looking for that special gift. Lines are long, traffic is frustrating, supply chains in the news. Just take a deep breath. If you're anywhere near Oak Island, come by Seaside Jewelers, 8801 East Oak Island Drive. Avoid the traffic, the lines, the frustration, and get that extraordinary and special gift. From high-end diamond rings to Larimar, from necklaces to bracelets, watches, and unique jewelry. And you also get one-on-one service with their experienced staff. Great prices now just in time for the holidays. Come by and check out Seaside Jewelers, 8801 East Oak Island Drive.
Brian Wilson, your Republican nominee for District Court Judge. During his life, he has gone from protecting our country as a combat vet in our military to serving this state as a member of JAG, currently defending and protecting in the courtroom as a guardian ad litem attorney of Brunswick, Columbus, and Bladen counties. Please help continue his good work in our state and our county by voting Brian Wilson for District Court Judge.
It seems like every other store is now selling CBD in some form or another. But did you know that Wilmington has just one local CBD company? I'm talking about Carolina Pure. Family owned and operated, they are Wilmington's first and only CBD company that makes quality hemp products right here in town, including tinctures, topicals, and pet products. Their hemp is sourced from local farmers, and they support area musicians and nonprofits. Check us out at carolinapureshop.com.
Hope Abounds, North Carolina's premier cancer support network, invites you to attend our Gift of Hope by Giving to Others event on Saturday, November 12th at 6 p.m. at the Wrightsville Beach Holiday Inn Resort, with music provided by Ray Kennedy and the Opera House Theater Company. So join us for an evening of food, music, hope, information, a live auction, and more, while supporting the hard work of the Hope Abounds Cancer Network. For more information, please call us at 910-799-7178 or visit us online at hopeabounds.org.
The left has hijacked our media, our culture, and our schools. Your children are taught to hate America. Your speech is censored. Your employer is woke, and you are being called racist. That's why I wrote a book showing you how to keep the left from dominating your life. The book is called Rules for Anti-Radicals, a practical handbook for defeating leftism. And it draws from my 28 years of grassroots leadership by empowering conservatives too often bullied into silence by the left. It's a comprehensive guide to beating leftism not only in politics, but in daily life. And it's not just for dedicated conservative activists, but also for anyone sick of getting beaten down by the woke mob. Whether it's your job, your school board, or your neighbors, you can win against woke. Get Rules for Anti-Radicals from Amazon or at rulesforantiradicals.com/radio. That's rulesforantiradicals.com/radio.
Hey, welcome back to the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad, right here on the Big Talker Network. BigTalker.live is the website. From there, you can download the app for Android and iOS devices, which you can then pair with your automotive entertainment center system and take the Big Talker anywhere and everywhere you have to be, whether you want to be there or not. Also, peruse the schedule of content so you can see when your favorite shows are going to premiere and replay throughout the week. You can also send an email with any comments, questions, concerns, compliments, or critiques, because we cannot improve without your assistance. Because, you know, we're growing, we're small, it's a new idea, it's a new world, whatever. And of course, the morning show of any radio station is going to be some opinionated person spouting whatever it is, usually, in my case anyway, something of a stream of consciousness, and this one is the continuation of performative nature of things. One of my favorite conversations with Paul Vallone, who has a show called Guns, Politics, and Freedoms. Again, I want everyone to understand that I have no issue with weapons. I have issue with people who do not fall into the category of what Paul Vallone would consider oh, damn it, it was on my head when I came in there. Responsible gun ownership. These are the people that when they store their guns, the ammunition is not in it. They have trigger guards. They have gun safes. They are responsible with their weapons. I've been trained, right? I had military school. We had weapons in the house. It was very much my stepfather's interest that even if I were not to handle or actually operate the gun, that I would at least know what it looks like, the important parts of it, the business end, the not so business end, the components necessary, the importance of cleaning, etc., etc. I learned about many weapons during my youth, both in, you know, well, not both, but, you know, throughout Boy Scouts, military school, and my own home life. You know, a ballpoint pen can be as effective as a 9mm. So the weapon part is not the issue, but knowing how to be responsible with what weapons you do have or have access to. My mother was made aware of weapons safety, firearms safety, even though she never actually handled the gun, and I don't think that she's been present but maybe twice when they were out popping beer cans or bottles or whatever they were doing. So I'm not adverse to guns. I am not afraid of them. I have a cautious respect because I know what they can do and I know what to look for if there is a weapon present. If someone were to hand me a weapon, I know how to check to make sure, A, the safety is on, there is not one in the chamber. I know how to pull the magazine out or dump the cylinder if necessary. Whatever, you know, I am not an expert on every weapon, but I have enough knowledge to not be afraid of that which many people do not understand. The part I don't understand is why people feel a need to wear this prop as full display, loaded or not. It doesn't make you any more patriotic to be carrying around, for example, to be having a rifle strapped on you while you're polling, you know, guarding a ballot box if you don't vote, or if you've been convicted of a felony and are not allowed to vote. That type of, you know, this is all, and it's intimidation not just here, but it's intimidation just in daily life. And that's usually a very strong signal. You can ask any mental health professional. It's a strong signal of an inferiority complex at some level. My old trope of a joke is the more ridiculous the truck, the smaller your hardware. Personal hardware. And I think this is true in a number of ways, that we have this tendency as hominis americanus to present a facade that is of greater energy and strength than we apply even in our own lives. Therefore, a person feels powerless in their own life. They will strap on a big gun and go parading around in public because now they have power of intimidation over other people, even if they don't know them. But if they do it while carrying a flag and chanting some sort of, you know, mantra or rhetoric of some sort that's supposed to okayify it all. No. No, sir. Same thing with your silly truck. If you're trying to intimidate me if you're trying to intimidate me in whatever fashion, you have already lost the battle, because I know that you can be easily manipulated just by emotions. Now, if anybody listening, thank you, all 2 of you, 3 of you, you're probably aware of some of Bruce Lee's wisdoms, right? And one of which is, if you get bent out of shape so easily over somebody's words, that means you can be controlled by anybody's words. And I will use that to my advantage, as Bruce Lee did to win so many of his fights. Because I'm already in your head. That whole, your head's already preoccupied by something that has nothing to do with you. Externally. But internally, there's something you need to address that nothing else is going to fix. Even if you walk around with a Browning 50 cal. And for those of you who do not know, this is a massive weapon. The shockwave alone will blow windows out to the side of the weapon. It's an impressive piece of hardware. It's meant to shred vehicles and people from long distances. Right? No need to be toting it around in public. I'm just trying to get a soda or a coffee or whatever it is, and you're behind me with some big, massive gun while, dressed up, and you're cosplaying the Operation Iraqi Shield or something. It's like, dude, Halloween's over now, all right? Put it away. I get it. It's your favorite dinosaur. Oh, look how cute. I think my greatest crime as far as fashion statements of this nature would be wearing, T-shirts of bands that have long since died. I mean, not like physically underground and buried under the dirt, but, those they grew up, right? Back in college, they had a little band going and they were kind of cool for, a couple of years. And now they're all dads with mortgages and percentage points and jobs. And they're just not that punk rock band they were 30 years ago. But the shirts were really cool, and I was there when they were cool. That's probably my fashion statement faux pas. Right? Another one of my favorites is the Huifeng sriracha sauce with the red bottle with the chicken on the front. Things like that. If you're going to be performative in your fashion statement, having fun with it in a way, right? White lives matter. I mean, that's probably not the, I don't care, do you? Whatever you wear is, and it's the same thing with the bumper stickers on your car. If you have filled the back of your car with bumper stickers, I don't need to talk to you. I already know everything about you, because you have displayed it right there. There is no mystery to who you are. And much like having pants sagging below the belt line or, sagging below your butt and I can see your underwear, I already know that you are not a person that I want to be involved with. I may have to work with you, for example, if you are the, quote, talent, unquote, of the night, and this is your style, your statement. I will do my job, but I most definitely am not going to be, like hanging out afterwards, getting into in-depth conversations about the socioeconomic development of Europe and the Americas during the 20th century. You're just not going to be there. I don't know if you get my point yet or not, but there's a lot more, I think, to having a bit of mystery about you, right? Now, of course, anybody tuning into the radio station, they're going to know what I'm about right away. But it's not on my car, right? So it's not like you're going to find me in traffic and beat me up because I don't agree with intimidating voters by marching around the ballot box armed And I further do not agree with brandishing large weapons in public places just because you feel inadequate or inferior at some point inside your own head. I should not be intimidated, victimized, or otherwise confronted with your mental illness. And I will say it again, I still believe and fully endorse the fact that people that need to be intimidatively performative with their weapons are already mentally unstable. That should be the first red flag. If you open carry everywhere with, it's just, why? Are you that much of a hateful person that you are that scared all the time? Is that what's going on? Because I could have easily missed something. I don't own a gun. That doesn't mean I don't have access to weapons, right? There's a difference. A gun is only, a firearm is only one type of weapon. As we've seen in other attacks throughout our own nation and other nations around the country or around the world, knives are just as effective. So is a ballpoint pen, pair of scissors, box cutter, for Christ's sake. So you don't, the walking around with a gun is not for personal safety. Personal safety happens before anything else, right? I mean, the old senseis in any dojo would tell you, if you see something wrong, you're in the wrong place. It's simple as that. Your own self-preservation is going to benefit more greatly from knowing what's around you, being aware, and keeping your head on a swivel. Sometimes we have to go into places we don't want to, and we have to be a little more cautious. As Obi-Wan would say about the pit of villainy and such, we must be cautious. But if you're walking into a shopping mall strapped with an AK-47, a 1911, and, 5 magazines, you're not doing that as a fashion statement. You're trying to intimidate people. You're trying to create an air of superiority by means of intimidation through the display of firearms. And if you do this at a ballot box, yeah, I would consider that voter intimidation straight up. Again, if you are to monitor a ballot box, I would think having a pair of binoculars and a notepad would be far more appropriate than carrying a high-powered rifle wearing Kevlar. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm glad you guys got the weapons and the Kevlar, so in case, Mexico ever invades us, we got some homespun militia, but, I'm pretty sure that we're going to have our own protections by then. But you can do like some of the, cats are doing. If you're that interested in wearing Kevlar and shooting a gun, there's an entire war happening over in Europe right now that, one side or the other would be happy to have you. And the next time you walk into Starbucks with a big gun, they'll actually look at you with respect. There, not here. Maybe. Maybe they will. I don't know. But the performative nature of it is what I find to be the foul in this whole thing, if that can be appropriately worded. I mean, I know many people with arsenals that are impressive in their own right, and you would never know. It's the same. It's kind of like me when I go to a gig. Let me just put it in terms of a guitar, because the guitar is my weapon. It's my axe. That's how we refer to them. When I get to the gig, it is the last thing I take out before performing. It is the first thing I pack up before, when it's over. I want to minimize the access to it, either by myself or anyone else. It prevents anything accidental from happening. In my case, I don't want my guitar damaged. I like my guitar. I like the people around me. If I am to trust them, even if they are not nefarious or malicious in their intent, but simply tipsy or inebriated and accidentally step on a guitar or knock something over, spill drinks, etc., I want to secure my weapon first. I was taught in military school the only time that you should be even handling a weapon is when you're about to use it. Certainly at a time of war, which is, sort of what military school is preparing you for. So yeah, if you see a threat, oh yeah, I get it. I understand. But I don't think any Viet Cong soldiers are hiding on the side, behind the ballot box. I really don't. There's a point where this madness is a direct result of public education and the lack of interest in reading and a complete dulling of our sense of curiosity. Not necessarily the curiosity of, I did my research. No. Curiosity like reading books from the 30s, 40s, and 50s, for example. There's a whole era of novels. These are fiction stories, but given the fabric of the time. Right, Asimov and Heinlein are two of my favorites. All of their stories are going to be flavored by the insanity going on at that time. The thing is, it's happening again now. And we refuse to recognize it as there's a critical mass that needs to understand this before any of this change can happen. And unfortunately, over the decades, our educational system has been removing the very elements that encourage critical thinking. And I'm not talking critical race theory. I'm not talking all the crap that's currently being bantered in education. I mean, getting kids curious. Why is our Constitution written this way? Why did the Bill of Rights have to be added to it? Not, here's the Constitution, here's the Bill of Rights. There's no understanding. There's no curiosity as to what was why. The why of everything. And I think that's where I was personally blessed by having scientists and engineers in my life, because they asked two questions, why and why not? Why does this work, and why not do it this way? Why not try this? Hey, if this works, why not try this? But that curiosity is dead. Now they just take, hey, I got a free red hat out of the deal, and I'm just going to, blur back whatever I'm, chanting. I don't know. I'm not going to read about it. Oh my God, ain't nothing like that. I'm not going to be interested in no history as to why somebody would want to invade some other country or behave in such a nature where they would be self-enriched by the policies that they are governed. Right? I mean, isn't that the idea behind lobbyists and PACs? Again, remove that money. Allow only the money of what the individual GOP or Democrat headquarters, county level are allowed to do. Because that would put the money directly into the community. No more ads, no more PACs, no more lobbies, no more gifts, no more, backroom deals where people are enhancing themselves by $200 million a year because they get, some sort of stock bonus or whatever because follow the money. Doesn't matter who you are, follow the money. That's going to unlock or expose more crime. People die for money. People are exposed for money. People are, extorted for money. Blackmailed. Bought, sold, as our lead news story is enlightening us. These are not the behaviors of what I would consider decent Americans all the way around. Because think about it, the proper American, right? I tend to align my ideal American citizen with the tenets of Boy Scouts. Now, again, or I should say, to be fair, not a lot of women were exposed to the Boy Scouts, and letting girls into the Boy Scouts apparently started a whole bunch of problems, and then, of course, the Boy Scouts got pretty much sued out of existence. But the tenets are still very much legit. Another organization, AA, for example, has a similar set of tenets on how to be a good person and not a jerk. And if we could just get to that base level, just that basic level right there, my God, we would be on Mars, right? We would have elected officials who are actually appropriate to the office they hold, i.e., Betsy DeVos. And I know I'm not the most popular personality or whatever, opinionator on this station. Many people consider me overly liberal. Bill Moore, however, is convinced that I am conservative in nature at my core, but there are many things that I see being displayed by people who call themselves, staunch Republicans or, right? You guys the Republican Party is split within itself. I mean, there's Republicans and then there's rhinos. And who a rhino is entirely dependent on the subjective opinion of the person using the term. Much like a racial slur. How does that work? So maybe if we could get past this and just be decent, basic human beings as outlined by a number of organizations that are not religious, so you don't have to be reliant on any one God or Allah or Yahweh or Shiva or Bodhisattva or whatever, right? I don't even know them all. I don't even bother. It's like, wow, this is all ridiculous. I see people, and I see people doing good things with people. I see people doing bad things to people. That taught me right and wrong better than any book did. More than any Sunday school class, because I could see it in the playground as a child. I could see it in school. I could see it in college. I could see it in the workplace. I see it in the streets. I see it in backstage. You do what you can with what you can about that. Yo, man, that's not right. I've been called out on it too. Yo, that was not nice, dude. Oh, okay, I will correct that. I now know, and I'm going to make amends for that injury caused. And at the same time, if someone causes injury to me, it's time to just say, you know what? I'm going to take a break. Take a break from that person, take a break from that situation. Let myself mature a little more, temper a little more, let the situation and the people involved in it temper a little more. Let them grow up a little bit, if that's what the term is or what's needed. But you're not going to see me with a plastering of stickers all over the back of my car. I'm not going to be wearing some political hat. No. My politics, my religion are as private as my sexuality. All right? That's how it's supposed to be. Keep that stuff to yourself. You exercise that in the privacy of the voting booth or in the privacy of your bedroom. Stuff like that. If you're going to use a gun, take it to the range, have a blast, get good on your aim. But if you're in the supermarket where I'm buying some milk and bread and you're carrying around an AK-47 draped in Kevlar cosplaying some war game somewhere, I'm going to laugh at you and ask you about it. Why? Because I have freedom of speech too. And if you don't like my freedom of speech, tough. Because I'm not liking your freedom of speech either. The best way we can compromise is for both of us to shut up. And in your case, or in this person carrying the gun's case, shutting up would be as simple as leaving the gun at home. It's not that hard to figure out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for me to get the hell off of here. Have a great weekend. We will see you on Monday. And please, don't get shot. We need you. I would like to hear from you. So don't forget to email with any comments, questions, concerns, compliments, or critiques. We cannot improve without your help, and we will see you on Monday. Don't forget all the cool shows like Living Fit After 50 at 1 o'clock this afternoon, and all the shows premiering over the weekend, such as Guns, Politics, Freedom, and Consumer Choice Radio, and we will see you next week.